OAB is a triangle. OPM and APN are straight lines. M is the midpoint of AB. OA is equal to A, OB is equal to B. The ratio of O to P to M is 3 to 2. Work out the ratio of O to N to B. So the first thing we can do is annotate this diagram with the information we've been told in the question. So we've been told that O to A is equal to A, and then we've been told that O to B is equal to B. And then the ratio of O to P to M is 3 to 2. So this means that O to P is 3/5 of the line O to M, and then P to M is 2/5 of the line O to M. So the first thing we can do is we can work out some information to fill into this diagram. And the first thing we can work out is the vector A to B. So in order to get from A to B, we'll need to go from A to O, which we can write as negative O to A, and we'll need to go O to B. And we know that O to A is equal to A, and then O to B is equal to B. So therefore the length A to B will be equal to negative A plus B. Now in this question we've been told that M is the midpoint of A to B. So what this means is that A to M is equal to M to B, and both of these will be equal to a half multiplied by negative A plus B, which is equal to negative a half A plus a half B. Now from this we can now work out O to M. Now to work out O to M, we can do the vector O to A plus the vector A to M. And we know that O to A is equal to A, and then we worked out that A to M is equal to negative a half A plus a half B. And if we simplify this down, this will give us a half A plus a half B. And now because we know the ratio of O to P to M, we can work out what the vector O to P is. Now because O to P is 3/5 of the length O to M, this means OP will be equal to 3/5 of O to M, which is equal to 3/5 multiplied by a half A plus a half B. And if we expand this out, this gives us 3/10 A plus 3/10 B. And now the final vector we can work out is the vector A to P. And A to P will be equal to negative OA plus OP. And this gives us negative A plus 3/10A plus 3/10B, which gives us negative 7/10A plus 3/10B. Now if we take a look back at the diagram, using the rules of vectors, if two vectors are parallel, or in this case on the same straight line, one of the vectors will be a multiple of the other vector. So what this would look like, using vector A to N, is A to N is equal to a constant, so we can let this be x, multiplied by A to P. And we worked out before that A to P was equal to negative 7/10A plus 3/10B. So this means A to N is equal to x multiplied by negative 7/10A plus 3/10B. Now what we can do to work out this constant x is find another root from A to N and then compare the coefficients of these two vectors. So another root we can take is from A to O, so negative O to A, plus O to n. And again, because O to n is on the same straight line as O to b, this therefore means that O to b will be a multiple of O to n, and therefore O to n will be equal to a constant multiplied by O to b. And we can let this constant be y. So negative O to a will be equal to negative a, and if O to b is equal to b, then O to n will be equal to y multiplied by b. So now what we have is two different paths of getting from a to n. And what this means is these two vectors will be equal to each other. So this means that negative 7 over 10 xa plus 3 over 10 xb will be equal to negative a plus yb. And now what we can do is something called comparing the coefficients. So if we first take a look at the a term, negative 7 over 10 xa must be equal to negative a. So this means that negative 7 over 10x must be equal to negative 1. And if we divide both sides by negative 7 over 10, this will make x equal to 10 over 7. And we can use the same process for the b. If 3 over 10xb is equal to yb, then this means that 3 over 10x must be equal to y. And if we worked out that x is equal to 10 over 7, then this means that 3 over 10 multiplied by 10 over 7 is equal to y. And this makes y equal to 3 over 7. So now if we take a look back at this vector, we said that O to n was equal to yb. And if we've just worked out that y is equal to 3 over 7, then this means that O to n is equal to 3 over 7b. And if we fill this back in on our diagram, if O to n is equal to 3 over 7b, then this means that n to b is equal to 4 over 7b. So therefore, the ratio of O to n to n to b will be 3 over 7 to 4 over 7, which in its simplest form will give us 3 to 4. And this is our final answer. Now this question's worth 5 marks. We'll get our first mark for working out the vector a to b. We'll get our second mark for working out the vector O to m. We'll get our third mark for working out the vector a to p. We'll get our fourth mark for expressing O to n as a constant multiplied by b, and using this to work out the value of the constant. And our fifth mark for the correct answer.